Hey guys, this is Red Shadow. Welcome back to another recent viewing video, and this time around, as I mentioned in my pickups video, if you saw that, I'm going to be talking about It Follows. I just watched this earlier tonight, and I wanted to, definitely with this movie, wanted to talk about my thoughts about it as soon as possible so I don't lose some of what I was thinking about. Anyway, if you haven't heard of It Follows, it's basically a horror movie, or scary movie, or suspenseful movie, whatever you want to call it. And it's about what I could basically best describe as a curse that is passed from person to person through a sexual encounter. Basically, you sleep with somebody, you pass on this scary curse. And the only way that the next person can pass it on is if they sleep with somebody else, etc., etc. What the curse is, you may be asking yourself? Well, basically, it, as in the name of the film, It Follows. Whatever this curse is, it takes the form of another person, whether it's somebody you know or a complete stranger. This curse manifests itself in the form of a person that only you and apparently the previous owner of the curse can see, but it only goes after the person who it has been bestowed upon. And like I said, you really have no other choice but to sleep with another person and pass it on to them. But what's really interesting is if you don't explain to them what's going on, it's going to kill them. And then once it has killed the person it's went to, it then goes to the person who had it before. So meaning basically if you ever get hit with this shit, you're in big trouble. I would be in super big trouble considering the fact that I'm not a guy who's had any kind of sexual encounters for years now. And if I managed to have one right now with somebody who had a curse like this, there's no way in the world I'd be getting rid of it. I'd be dead pretty quick. That may be TMI, but I don't care. You didn't come to this channel for anything other than the weirdest of the weird, I guess. At least as far as a person's personal life goes. But anyway, so the movie has our main character, a girl named Jay, played by Maika Monroe, who I'm really, really enjoying. I think this may really be the first movie she's been in that I've watched, but I've seen a lot of interviews with her. I've seen like previews or whatever, portions of movies that she's done before. And I just kind of like her. I hope that she kind of catches on as another one of these young up-and-coming Hollywood actresses. She does really, really good in this movie. I like that. The acting in it is pretty good. I'm already kind of jumping all over the place in this, but like I said, I didn't want to lose my main little bullet points that I wanted to talk about with this movie. One of my favorite things about it was, even though I'm not a big horror fan, I never have been, I never will be, certain horror movies will do it for me. That's what attracted me to this, was hearing some people who watched it, what they had to say, the glowing reviews for it, seeing the trailers for it, being intrigued by the premise. So it kind of drew me in. Now that I've seen the movie, I can say this much. Once again, horror / scary type movies like this really aren't my thing. This movie didn't scare me so much. I like the tension in it. I like the homage to a lot of like 70s and 80s style horror movies, which even though I didn't see a lot of them when I was younger, I know about the vibe of the music, the way the editing is, the way the filmography, like the cinematography, which in this movie it was really awesome at times. I loved the kind of dampened down color palette. I just loved a whole bunch of stuff about it, and the music in it. The best experience I could say, or the best movie that gave me a similar experience in sort of giving me that vibe of the 80s through its music and whatnot, was the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling. Different genre, of course, but both of these movies just ooze that kind of old school aesthetic as far as like 70s and 80s filmmaking is concerned. I'm not a filmmaking genius, not a guru, nothing like that. I'm not well versed on all that old stuff, but I've seen enough to absorb kind of how those things play out, the way the music would work and the way the shoots would work. Now, unless this is just because I haven't watched a lot of those old movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th and all that, this movie had a lot of parts where it felt like it was building up to something, and then it would just cut to another scene. All that tension music, all that booming bass, all the synth, like just, crazy wall of sound. It would be building up, and you'd be like, oh, what's going to happen? What's about to appear on screen? And it would just cut to another scene, and it would be gone. So I don't know if that's like the maker of this film, what's his name here? David Robert Mitchell. I'm not sure if that was something he did purposely, or if he did it on his own for just whatever weird reason. It took me out of things quite often, and that was a bit of a disappointment. Otherwise, the disappointment to me was just that it didn't scare me like I wanted it to. I wanted this movie to kind of make me shit my pants. It's probably from 3 years of watching YouTubers who play scary games with a lot of jump scares in them, where it's almost unrelenting at times. Maybe I'm just spoiled on that I figure even a movie like that has got to bring it. Just bring it. This one had a lot of interesting, little twists and turns, and these kids would all go someplace to try to get away from it for a while. And what was neat was it wasn't just that if you have the curse, only you see it, and like as if it doesn't even exist in anybody else's eyes. It's there, they just can't see it. Somebody got knocked down by one, they watched it blow a hole in a door, they swung a chair at it, and it hit something even though it wasn't there. I was really actually kind of relieved when that part of the movie happened, just so that I knew that it wasn't some stupid, like, it's a ghost and nobody else can eat. Like nobody would completely believe this girl at all. But, yeah, that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to mention. The music was really cool. You have to excuse me, I felt like I was going to sneeze there for a minute. The music was cool. Everybody did a really good job in the movie. It did have some confusing moments. This might be some spoilerish kind of thing. There were two guy friends of this girl and her sister and their other girlfriend who kind of came together in this little fivesome group who were going to try to battle against this thing and keep the original girl Jay safe. And one of them was this guy who she had known when they were younger and has been a family friend for a long time. And he liked her back then, and he liked her now. And then there was this other boy who lived across the street who didn't really seem to I don't know, kind of factor into the group as much. But I guess maybe there had been something between the two of them before, and it just wasn't really established until it was mentioned in passing. But at some point in the movie, I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen. One of these two guys is going to offer to have sex with her so that they take the curse away from her, and then they'll probably be like, okay, now I'm going to go pass it on to somebody else and try to get it moving on down the road somehow or another. And while I figured it'd be either one, I also figured it'd be at least a scene in the movie establishing, hey, I could do this for you, or hey, let's just do this and we'll take care of it, if that's all that it is. Anything. No, it was just like, she's in the hospital, the two guys are sitting there, the camera focuses on the guy from across the street. The next thing you know, there's a scene where everybody's gone and it's at night, and he's crawling into her hospital bed and having sex with her right there in the hospital. And I was like, wow, she really jumped right into that. I know the Wikipedia page here talks about the way the movie kind of had an interesting take on sexual activity. And I'm sure there's probably something to that. I'm sure that the movie has probably got a message for it. You know, it's an allegory about something. I'm not going to try to read too much into it. I'm still looking at it from the point of view of, if these people were real, what was the motivation for them to just snap to it? Now later on, she kind of reveals to the other boy that he didn't seem like he was scared. He seemed like he would be the one who would best be suited for having this curse put upon them. And I think in some way, even though it wasn't really established, I think she was like, if this were to come back and kill one of these two, I'd rather it be him and not the one who had the crush on me and who we had our first kiss with, and yada yada yada. It was so weird to see him just crawling into her hospital bed and rocking it out right there. And there was also another scene in which I thought she had passed it to at least somebody on this boat full of guys. And then later on in the movie, she does end up finally sleeping with the guy who had the crush on her, and they show him driving around like some seedy part of town looking at hookers. And I'm thinking, well, that's not a bad idea. You give it to a hooker, she's probably not going to have much time to figure out that something's after her, and she's sleeping with somebody else and sleeping with somebody else. I guess you figure that as long as she's in that business, she keeps passing it on, but someone's going to die, and then it's going to come back to her. But I don't know, they didn't show him doing anything with anybody else. And the last scene of the movie showed the two of them walking hand in hand down a sidewalk, and in the very last closing seconds you could see someone walking behind them. But hey, I guess that's the gag, right? You just don't know. They had a few moments in the movie where I thought they could have really hammered that out a little better, though. They could have had more of that. Like, at one point there's a naked guy standing on top of a roof. I've seen a gag like that. I think it was in the movie Signs, where something was on a roof. It was an alien, but I wasn't impressed by that scene. But I was impressed by a scene in the school where they took this camera and it was rotating like this, and they went by a window, and I saw this girl, and she's way out, like across the campus by a building, and she's not walking out from a door. She's just walking from the building. And this thing circles all the way around, and it comes back by the window again, and she's a lot closer now. And then it pans over to where our characters are talking to someone in class, and then they leave, and the camera doesn't go pan back to the windows to show this person right there. I was like, man, I kind of want that. I kind of want that jump scare shit. I want that right there, because at least I understand what's going on. It's not just pointless blah. It's like literally you've seen this person crossing, you know what it is. I just kind of wanted, that stamp of affirmation. I mean, they go to their car, and then the girl starts walking towards them, but they didn't even acknowledge it. And I may sneeze right here in a second, so I apologize. I don't know why this is trying to hit me right now. Usually I deal with the sneezes at work, and I don't have to deal with them here at home. Okay, anyway, no sneezing for me in this video. I'm going to wrap it up now because I'm going to be sniffling like crazy. But anyway, yeah, It Follows. Disappointing in that I wanted it to scare the living daylights out of me, and it didn't. But I liked the movie a whole lot. I liked what they were going for. I liked that cinematography. I liked that music. And people are still shooting fireworks off around my town, apparently. Well, I did want to mention one thing. There were some scenes where they're just driving. No scary, no tension, but they're playing that kind of 80s, that evocative horror synthesizer type music just while they're driving around. I want somebody to make like an hour to 2 hour long movie of just that. Just driving scenes, walking scenes, no dialogue, no storyline, no plot, just people doing these things to that kind of creepy synthesizer music. I would probably watch that. I would probably pay for something like that. Okay, anyway, that's it for me. Like I said, my sinuses are just going to go crazy now. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Hopefully the next one I'm doing is going to be for Maggie. I really want to watch that probably Sunday. So anyway, come back for that if you're interested.